Welcome to East Coast DNA's Road to Music Week, the 2025 PEI Music Week edition. Today's guest is another one of the nominees for this year's awards. It's Elsie Richmond.
Yes, yeah.
Welcome, Elsie.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
I do want to mention right off the bat for anyone that is watching these all along. I know some of the people that do watch all of my episodes are people that I do know. So they may want to mock me because I did one of these with Hokkaido and I had some inaccurate notes beside me and I was very tired. So I had actually mentioned you during that and not because you had collaborated. So now I'm going to correct all that and we'll get into that too. But your nomination, and this was mentioned in that episode as well, it was for album art of the year.
Yes, yeah.
So, being an artist yourself, like a musician yourself, that's out there putting out singles and then being nominated under the art category, I'm sure there's other cases of that, and I do know of a few bands that like their albums are done by like other musicians that they know.
hmm
So, I am kind of curious, do you always do your own work?
Yes. So I guess I'm not a full-time musician or a full-time
Yes.
artist. And I love every aspect of, starting from songwriting to the production and the mixing,
Hmm.
mastering, and then the album art. And every time I write a song, I write it because of a specific emotion or an experience I had. And then there's always I can kind of see something that, like a visual representation of that song. So I figure I might as well just put what's in my brain on paper. So yeah, that's why I do it.
I like it. So you do have a little bit of a process to it. Now, I know a couple things about you, but I don't exactly have a timeline. So you have quite the career outside of music as well.
Yeah, I like to
So
dabble in many things, I guess.
yeah. So I'm going to call you the Dairy Queen. Is that
Yeah,
is that
I'll take
fair?
that. Yep.
All right. So we'll give you that, and we won't have to get too much into what you do outside of music. But I do know that you have a very busy full-time career. So that would kind of lend itself to the fact that maybe you're not a full-time musician. But if we kind of go back a little bit before this nomination, you're primarily known, I'm assuming, as, and I always say it wrong, and being that I do a music podcast, I should know better. So is it a cellist or a cellist?
Cellist. Yeah, so I
Why is it
play,
spelled that way?
I don't know. I guess maybe
We need an
I
H.
don't well it's like violon. I think the origin of the word. There's definitely something
I got to get my
something
daughter. She's the linguist in the family, so I'll dig her out after this call and see if she can help me figure that out.
I do think that some people say cello, but I don't think.
I
Yeah.
think they're just saying it wrong because they read it.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
So, how far back does that part of your musical career go? Is that something you picked up young?
Yeah, well, so what had happened, and I think this is pretty common with people who play music or make art. Um, I started at elementary school in our school strings program, and I loved it, and I loved playing music with people. And so I started off playing cello, and then when I got older and I focused more on school and university, it took away a lot of my music time, and I had didn't I didn't really, when I was younger, think that you could really make an impact or that, um, yeah, music was as worthy as other kind of subject
Sure.
matters and study areas. And I got really into school, so I stopped music and kind of being really creative. And then when I finished my master's, I bought myself a cello off Kijiji as a kind of like a gift to myself to get
Hmm.
back into it. And then I moved to PEI in 2021. and found a cello teacher and got started. And the music community here is just so welcoming and very strong. And there's so many opportunities to learn and grow as a musician. So I was able to kind of really fully go into it again. And yeah, it was kind of coming full circle back to the things that bring me joy and are really fulfilling and really do kind of change the world. So it
Hmm.
was, yeah, happy to come back to it.
So you kind of answered a question that I do typically ask, just indirectly, I guess. So outside of financial considerations in your non-music career, the thing it sounds like that kind of kept you around Prince Edward Island is the fact that there's a welcoming community for musicians and artists.
Exactly. I play in the PEI String Collective, which is Natalie Williams Calhoun's. She's the music director for that. And that's every Monday night we have rehearsals, and it makes Mondays my favorite day of the week, really.
Amazing.
Um, and like open mic at Baba's with Kinley, that's where I got to meet a lot of people. And then you hang out there enough, you start to kind of know who's around.
Hmm.
And I met a rapper, Kilbride, there, who then I went to his place and met Hisham there, who's like Hurtado,
Yeah,
and jammed with them, and then was able to make like that connection. So,
amazing.
um, yeah, everybody, musicians are so welcoming and open and supportive. So, especially here.
I always like the narratives. I mean, I could see a little behind the curtain more often these days, but I always like the narrative of artists that are kind of working in a collective to help each other, like in different capacities. Like you always hear about stories about indie musicians in their origins and coming up and how they kind of lean on each other. But it's nice to hear actual firsthand stories.
Hmm.
So it is wonderful to also note that when I've been going through these episodes, I did start to structure it as kind of topically around the nominations, but there's so many nominations that crisscross all various aspects of everything to do with the awards that it's almost impossible to pigeonhole anybody. Like every single one of you over there, you're all either doing multiple things for yourself or you're actively out there collaborating with other artists in your community. So it's great to see. Did it make it hard for the nomination process, like where you have your own music? You probably lean a little bit towards some traditional stuff because of your preferred instrument, but following your Instagram account, I can also see that you like to have fun and maybe bend the rules of what to do with your cello as well.
Hmm.
So it is the fact that you're nominated for the art award just a like you said, where it's not a full-time thing. Was it just a nice experience that you were in the running at all, or is this something that you've been trying to push?
No, I'm so, I feel so happy that there's, people who get to look at something that I made and they like it. And the album art that I make is just purely my own direction and having fun and getting to use, like, I love to collect things. So like um dry like flowers, and then I dry them, or like newspaper clippings, and I like to put it all together, and I love glitter too. So like anywhere I can kind of fit in something, um I love the process of it. And yeah, so the album art is kind of like the cherry on top of getting to like write a song and put a song out, because then I get to do art for it.
Yes.
Um, so it's really nice, and I think unexpected, because I never really would consider myself like a visual artist, but I guess I can now. So it's, I guess, like validating that it doesn't really matter what other people might think about what you're doing, it's still worthy. And
Yeah.
then to have it be like a have the nomination, it kind of just is that extra push to keep going and to keep trying new things, because yeah, there's nothing bad can come from it.
I'm sure some of the peer recognition comes from the fact that you do have a fairly close community where everyone involved kind of knows each other. If they don't know each other directly, like you know of each other. But
Yeah.
the way that you worded that response, not everyone would word it that way. I'm sure there's a few of my guests have similar process, but you said that you get to. And I feel that way too, that like I collaborate with some people on my media projects, like outside for coverage. And sometimes it is actually that it's not that I don't have somebody to collaborate with, it's that I get to do those extra things myself because it
Hmm.
flexes a different muscle.
Yeah. And it's really like I think that I'm from all of the things that I do in my free time that are not my, 40 hours a week, which
Hmm.
like I find my, the job that pays my rent fulfilling,
Hmm.
but to be able to have the time, like it's a privilege to be able to have that the creative space for my brain to think of different things and to be able to practice my instruments and think about learning new instruments. I do think that that is a real privilege, and so it is like a yeah, I feel really lucky that I have the
Hmm.
time to like sit around and move my pressed flowers around a page until I like the way it looks. Like yeah, it's a lot of fun and really yeah, it's like the stuff that makes you feel like you're alive and you're
Yeah.
participating in the world, which
And it's
sounds
nice you're not taking it for granted either. Like you appreciate the work-life balance part there. It seems like you've
yeah.
mastered it for yourself anyway.
Well, I think I get into the more you can lean different ways. So you can have no creative time and then sometimes I find I get so worried about making every second of the day productive. So then you're like, well, I have to schedule out practice time and doing this and doing that, and then it's not fun anymore.
Hmm.
So it's still a balance, but yeah, I definitely need it, even if it's, instead of saying I want to practice my instrument or something for an hour, I'm gonna pick it up and then see what happens. And then that like puts the pressure off.
Yeah, it's I do know that with art projects, it it is hard to schedule it because you do kind of have to feel it's hard to sit down with a blank piece of paper and say I'm going to draw a picture. Like
Yeah. Hmm.
so I'm wondering too, and I have kind of been leaving this question to the end for a lot of people, but I wanted to do a variant version of it with you because of your career. I've been asking the artists for kind of local haunts or like places to visit that maybe are not the typical tourism places that I might not already know about.
Mm.
And I've mentioned venues and restaurants more specifically to kind of make it a little easier for people to come up with something. But a couple people have mentioned ice cream. And I know as a tourist, I'm from Nova Scotia. So, I mean, when I come over, I'm a tourist. I know that cows' ice cream's always just hammered over our heads, but nobody's mentioned cows in the interview so far. It's been other places. And where you have a lot of experience in the dairy field, I'm curious, like, what is the best ice cream on Prince Edward Island?
Oh, well, what is the best ice cream? I think that they like um
You can't say because of your
I
career.
don't
That's probably
know.
what it is.
Well, no, I think I just I really like ice cream and I don't really mind where I get it. I really like the ADL ice cream and Scottsburn and Farmers brands
Hmm.
from the grocery store. Um but yeah, I don't eat as much ice cream as I want to. I eat a lot of cheese. That's my kind of like
Okay.
yeah.
And I do know that dairy, like besides being like the backbone of your career, it's like that you seem to have like an actual passion for that as well. Like,
Yeah, I think it's like I I love the process of, you milk a cow or a goat and then you get milk and then you make something from it like ice cream and
hmm.
then or cheese or something like that. Like I love processes,
Hmm.
which is I think why I really like writing music and making the album art. Like I love seeing how things evolve.
Yeah, I can see the parallel. I mean, I don't know much more than what we talked about, but I like you used to actually milk the cows as well.
Yeah, yeah,
So like
part-time
you've been
job.
involved in all different parts of that process.
Yeah, yeah. I really like to try lots of things out, and like I used to think that um like if you're gonna be a musician, that's all you do, or if you're gonna be anything, like that's all you do.
Hmm.
And I can focus for a couple months on something very a lot
Yeah,
and really focus on it. And then I kind of, I need something else. After I kind of learn how it works, I get a little bored.
yeah,
So I need a lot of different things to keep my mind busy and to keep me interested. So yeah, that's where I do many different things, but I have fun doing them and don't get bored.
yeah. I can definitely relate. Anybody that's been watching the number of videos I've been producing and then seeing me out on the road as well, it's they probably know that. But I'm wondering now with the nomination and with the awards coming up very soon, I'm assuming that something like that would create a little bit extra attention in that area of your life. So has this sparked, if it was me, it would have the back of my brain running the whole time. And what should I do next? So, do you have plans for 2025 going into 2026?
Yeah, so I have a three song, I don't know if you want to call it an EP, but I don't know, three songs, so a small EP, a micro something. I have that's I'm just finishing up the drums for the third song, and then hopefully that'll be out within the next, I think my first goal was December, but
Mhm.
that didn't happen, but that's okay. So hopefully before like I don't know, this month I bet. And so that's the next thing. And I'm doing a challenge through like it's an RPM, the RPM challenge where you record a song or an EP within the month of February, and the goal of it is to be done with it, like to make it and have it be finished, but not perfect.
Mhm.
So that's also something I'm working on. So yeah, I think it's the nomination has made me um yeah, just keep going. Like it's given me that whole like I'm just gonna keep doing. I have many different plans in the back of my mind, and I write a lot of songs, not a lot of, there's some good ones and some not so good ones, but I've got a catalog that I want to work through because I'm learning all the production and everything. And I know that to do the production, you have to able to get better at it, you have to keep
Mhm.
doing it. So I've kind of, let go of having it be perfect and then keep learning because it's not easy. Like there's a reason why people go to school for it and everything.
Yeah.
Like it's really challenging. I find it challenging. So yeah, there's just like so many things to keep learning. And so yeah, just I'm gonna keep going.
Sometimes the success is almost worked against you because you feel like it's not just expectations of others, but internally you feel like, well, now I need to top myself.
I
So
I maybe
it pushes you, but
yeah.
it can sometimes be a little bit of an extra stress. So
I
for
yeah.
yourself, you already have plans though.
Yes. Yeah, I've got plans, and I think it makes me really excited more than feeling stressed
That's
because
good.
I know that this is for my like I guess for myself,
Hmm.
and um I I love if other people like it too. Like that feels even more validating, but I think just creating and being able to encourage people around me to just
Hmm.
create and to make things and to learn new things because that's the sweet spot in life because yeah, you can get, especially I think everything in the world happening in the world and the political climate and the
Hmm.
actual climate, I think it is encouraging me even more to focus on creating and like not just making art and music alone, but in community because
Hmm.
I know that it does make a difference. So yeah,
I'm wondering for community as well. You've already indicated that you have a good little collection in the music scene there of people to collaborate with, and I have referenced the open mic that Kinley runs in a few episodes in the past, and I'm a fan of the concept. I love that it's all happening over there. I've checked a few out over in the Nova Scotia side, but I know that one's quite well known for the people that are going. There's you never know who's going to be there. It sounds like.
Yeah, and you never know what you're going to see.
So, did
So
you pull in other people from those groups to help you with the new songs? Like when you say you're working on drums, do you have a drummer or are you drumming?
I have my little keyboard, my little drum pad that I'm
Yep.
doing. So yeah, I definitely, yeah, I would love to have more people to like do the production and stuff with.
Hmm.
But for what I'm doing right now, I think I um I really want to learn how to do the production and everything. So I like to I like to go and listen and hear people play and ask some questions and then see if I can recreate it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's kind of it. But yeah, I think that there's um at open mic, it's really cool to go and see what people are, maybe they wrote a new song and they're testing it out. And you can speak with them about how they wrote it, or they're trying a new instrument, or they're learning a new instrument, or they're doing a dance or something. Um, and every time I go, I have to perform just because it's nice to get like if I think if you stop performing, you don't you know, then you don't ever do it. Or at least I find
Yeah.
it's really
Yeah.
easy to be like, oh no, I'm not gonna do it. But yeah, it's just like a nice place to go and see that what people are doing. But yeah, there's so much talent on such a little island that
Yes.
yeah.
So speaking of that part too, where it is, I mean, it's a beautiful island, but it is a fairly small island. So is there plans to bring your music off island? Like, is there any type of strategy there, or it's just wait and see if it picks up?
I think I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing and look for different opportunities. And if anybody ever wants a cellist to play with them, I am so open for that. Um, that's, I think, something I would love to get to do.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, and like even one of my friend who's in the band, Heather, Cam, the bass player, he's friends with Velmy, who was Music Newfoundland's Artist of the Year last year
Hmm.
or this year. Um, and
Probably more than 1 year.
yeah, actually.
Yeah.
Um, and she was here playing at Baba's. And because of Cam connecting me with Velmy, I got to play cello with her. So that's kind
Amazing.
of more of the stuff I want to do because, yeah, it's so much fun. I don't really like to be necessarily like in the spotlight or having
Hmm.
me perform as the like a solo artist. I like to support other people, and um, I think that the cello is such a beautiful instrument, and you can do so much with it that yeah, I'm really interested in just seeing what else I can keep doing, and yeah, getting better at that like collaboration.
So for Music PEI's Music Week, the whole area is going to be full of performances and goings on. So do you have any plans specifically for that week at this point that you can share?
I will not be playing anywhere, but
Mhm.
I know that there's going to be an album art of the year show at the gallery. So I'm going to go to that. And then I will be attending every show I can. I'm volunteering to do some like merch tabling too,
Cool.
because I think that's a really good way to get to meet people and speak with people. Um, yeah, and then I guess going to like the gala and everything. It's pretty exciting. This is my first like a nomination for
Yeah.
anything that's art related. So I'm just excited to be invited.
Yeah.
Really, that's
I know the feeling. I did have one a couple years ago that I just it is it's an honor. So
yeah,
it's just a nice feeling, and then just to go and participate and be with peers, I guess is the right word to use.
yeah, which feels pretty. pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm gonna mention to everybody that I can play cello for them,
Hmm.
because yeah, that's really I think something that I want to keep doing because it's um, yeah, I think there's so much you can do.
Well, based on how most of these music industry associations run their programs when these events happen in these towns, I wouldn't be surprised if you still end up on stage with somebody based on the offer you just laid out there too.
I'll have to bring my cello and walk around.
Yes. What about from the art point of view now that you've been nominated? Do you have people sending out feelers to you to see if you're interested in doing additional artwork?
I don't, but I would be interested. I think that that would be a whole other level because that feels that would feel like more pressure and I think stressful because somebody else has to like it.
You're interpreting their work and not necessarily using their interpretation too. So it's
Yeah, so that would be a really that would be a challenge. So I would be open to the challenge. Um,
I love to hear that.
yeah,
It's nice to have that optimistic passion for the art going forward.
yeah, I would have to be okay at with somebody saying that they didn't like it or they didn't like something with it, which
Yeah,
I don't know if I if I'm like necessarily that would be a good skill building
yeah, yeah,
opportunity, I guess. But yeah,
yeah. You need a little thicker skin sometimes to do some of those activities, but
yeah.
I'm sure with based on the vibe I've been getting from everyone I've talked to so far, I'm sure that it's all support on that end anyway. So I
Mhm.
will be looking for you on site. Maybe I'll run into you at one of the merch tables, actually.
Yeah, yep. I can't remember. I think the Friday night I'm doing that. So
Okay.
that's yeah. Yeah, I think I'm like I volunteered at the Canadian Folk Music Awards back when we had it, and that was really cool to get to, see the merch that like the not just hear the music, but then see all of that additional
Yes.
work and art that goes along with it. Yeah, really definitely a lot of respect for what everybody is doing.
That is one of my favorite things at those events. The merch and I'm a sucker for a good promotion. So like the different types of posters and business cards and the people that are thinking outside the box and different ways to
Stickers.
try to get attention. It's great. Oh, and I have a giant bowl of stickers over here, so I have to start using them so people can see the bands that I've been around too.
Yeah, you got it. That's why the cello case or like an instrument
Yes.
case is so great. It's just like blank canvas for stickers.
Yeah, yeah, it's perfect. Maybe I'll pick up an instrument. It's probably long overdue that I try to learn how to play something. It's a good
Yeah, well,
excuse.
I think I don't know if it's over now, but I keep looking at Long and McQuaid and they're having lots of like 25% off
Oh
discounts.
yeah.
So rentals, and I'm thinking maybe it's the summer I learn mandolin, but
Yeah, that would be fun.
yeah.
Well, I encourage you to keep exploring that passion and pushing in all different areas. I am wondering for anyone that wants to follow you on the music end of things, where's the best place to send them to follow you online?
I'm on SoundCloud and at Elsie Sounds and Spotify as well. And then I'm also on uh, Instagram at Land of Elsie. Um, yeah, I'm definitely, this is something too that I'm thinking about with like how streaming services aren't necessarily, um, doing a service for
Hmm.
artists. And so that's where I'm looking at, well, maybe I can go towards Bandcamp and actual like physical CDs too and have that too.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking about it, but for sure SoundCloud because I get to post a lot of stuff that is not necessarily mixed and mastered.
Sure. Well, I'll definitely be keeping an eye out for you to show up on Bandcamp too. I try to promote that as much as I can. I probably been a little lack in that area lately, but it's a great program and it seems to be very supportive of the artist. I'm sure in the next year or so we're going to see some new ones pop up based on the whole situation we have going on in the world right
Yeah,
now,
yeah,
but a little too early to predict where we're going with things. So wait and see. For anyone out there that's been watching this episode, make sure you go and follow along and hit subscribe to East Coast DNA if you haven't already. There's going to be a lot more content coming from Music PEI. And apparently, me taking a whole month just to focus on one province is not acceptable by the collective music industry. So there's a lot of bonus content that's going to be coming out alongside, parallel to all this Music PEI content too. So lots of artists out there with lots of exciting material for you. A lot of cool concerts coming up this year. And I also want you to make sure that you're keeping in contact with me. If there's anything you want me to share, let me know. And I'll see everybody over in PEI in a couple weeks.
Yeah, well, thank you so much.
Thanks again. And hopefully we get a few minutes to chat on site.
Yeah, lovely to meet you.
Bye, everyone.